Good day, everyone. We are the Group 10, and the topic that we're going to discuss is about social, political, economic, and cultural issues of 1973 Constitution.
Hi everyone, I am Jezebel R. Iglesia and I will discuss the 1973 Constitution of the Philippines. First, I will read the preamble of 1973 Constitution. We, the sovereign Filipino people, imploring the aid of divine providence, in order to establish a government that shall embody our ideals, promote the general welfare, conserve and develop the patrimony of our nation, and secure to ourselves and our prosperity the blessings of democracy under a regime of justice, peace, liberty, and equality. Do ordain and promulgate this Constitution. The 1973 Constitution of the Philippines is composed of preamble and 17 articles. Draft presented to President Marcos by the 1971 Constitution Convention on December 1, 1972. Deemed ratified by citizens, assemblies held from January 10 to 15, 1973. Proclaimed in force by President Marcos on January 17, 1973. Provides from the shift of presidential to parliamentary system of government. The presidential form of government was changed to a modified parliamentary form. The 17 articles and what they are about. Article 1, the national territory. Article 2, Declaration of Principles and State Policies. Article 3, Citizenship. Article 4, Bill of Rights. Article 5, Duties and Obligations of Citizen. Article 6, Suffrage. Article 7, the President. Article 8, Batasang Pambansa. Article 9, the Prime Minister, the Cabinet, and the Executive Committee. Article 10, the Judiciary. Article 11, Local Government. Article 12, the Constitutional Commissions. Article 13, Accountability of Public Officer. Article 14, the national economy and the patrimony of the nation. Article 15, General Provisions. Article 16, Amendments. Article 17, Transitory Provisions. 1973 Constitution Summary. The Philippines renounces war as an instrument of national policy, adopts the generally accepted principles of international law as part of the land, and adheres to the policy of peace, equality, justice, freedom, cooperation, and amity with all nations.
Good day everyone, I am Ana Rafaela Ibarreta and the topic that I am going to discuss is about the social issues during the 1973 Constitution. What is the purpose of the 1973 Constitution? Main purpose before martial law is to reflect genuine Philippine independence and sovereignty, while the purpose after martial law is to change the present government to parliamentary form and to give Marcos more power and postpone the incoming 1973 elections. As we can see, the main purpose of the Constitution has changed after the declaration of martial law. Marcos' regime exercised civilian control through grave violations of human rights, such as through the torture, enforced disappearance, and extrajudicial killing of tens of thousands of Filipinos. People who were against the Marcos regime were either killed, tortured, or went missing. During the martial law, human rights violations had been irregularly occurring in the country. The number of victims and killings and torture went up. Types of torture during martial law. Electric shock. Electric wires are attached to the victim's fingers, arms, head, and in some cases, genitalia. San Juanico Bridge. Between two beds, the victim lies, and if his or her body falls or sags, the victim will be beaten. Truth serum, done at the V. Luna General Hospital. It prompts the victim to talk drunkenly. Russian roulette. The victim is forced to aim a revolver with a bullet at his or her own head, then pull the trigger. Beating. A group of soldiers would beat with fists, kicks, and karate blows manacled victims. So whipping. A victim is beaten with rifle butts. Water cure. Huge amounts of water would be forced into the victim's mouth and by beating would be forced out. Strangulation. Constriction of the neck done by hand, electric wire, and steel bar. Cigar and flat iron burns. A victim is inflicted with heat. Pepper torture. A concentrated peppery substance is placed on the lips and genitals. Animal treatment. Victims are manacled and caged like beasts. Everyone who went against the government had to face all those kinds of tortures. The inhumane treatment of the government towards the Filipinos during the martial law sparked up a lot of social issues that are even being discussed up to this day. And also during Marcos Regime, there was no press freedom. Here are the media personnel who were imprisoned during martial law. Chidoro Locsin Sr., Chino Roses, Amando Doronila, Luis Beltran, Maximo Soliven, Juan Mercado, and Luis Mauricio. Media outlets that were against the Marcos regime had been forced to shut down, and the media personnel who weren't in favor of the Marcoses had been imprisoned. The only media sources who were allowed to operate during the martial law period are those who are in favor of the Marcoses.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Janita D. Longares, reporter from Group 10, Political Issues and 1973 Constitution. The 1973 Constitution was a departure from the Philippines' adherence to democratic ideals. It was ratified and proclaimed by President Marcos on January 17, 1973. Intense opposition and controversies, and he announced that the proposed constitution had been approved by a sizable majority of the members of the infamous citizen assemblies. The presidential system of government was replaced with a modified parliamentary form with the adoption of a new constitution.
The delegates chosen to rewrite the Philippine Constitution hoped to preserve its democratic essence while deleting provisions deemed to be unsuitable vestiges of the colonial past. The Philippine Constitution is defined as the set of principles or established precedents according to which a state or other organization is governed. They aimed to create a document that was truly Filipino. However, Marcos imposed martial law and used the Constitutional Convention to his advantage before they could finish their job. In order to ensure that the Prime Minister and Cabinet are held accountable to the nation and its citizens through the National Assembly, the new Constitution joins this movement by embracing the parliamentary system of government. The Congress. The 1973 Constitution really differs from each other. It is one of the three branches of government that is greatly affected by the changes in our Constitution. The above are the sections that are not included in one or another. Citizens were required to vote under the 1973 Constitution, and for the first time, voters between the ages of 18 and 20, as well as those who are illiterate, were given the right to cast a ballot. The 1973 Constitution included harsh penalties for those who abuse their public authority, and the new society has shown its commitment and guts to purge the government of the corrupt and the grafters. The 1973 Constitution aims to ensure political and official accountability. Just as the new society has made it quite apparent that there would be no blame shifting among this imposition of authority. Horse trading and compromises were essentially encouraged by the structure of the old order, which the new society intends to overthrow. Article 11. Local Government. Section 1. The territorial and political subdivision of the Philippines are the provinces, cities, municipalities, and barrios. Section 2. The Batasang Pambansa shall enact a local government code which may not thereafter be amended except by a majority vote of all its members. This code will define a more responsive and accountable local government structure with a successful recall system, distribute authority, responsibility, and resources among the various local government units, and specify the qualifications, election and removal procedures, terms, salaries, authority, function, and duties of local officials. Any modification to the current structure of local government, however, must first be approved by a majority of votes in a special plebiscite that was called for the purpose. Section 3. No province, city, municipality, or barrio may be created, divided, merged, abolished, or its boundary substantially altered except in accordance with the criteria established in the Local Government Code, and subject to the approval by a majority of the votes cast in a plebiscite in the unit or units affected. Section 4. 1. Provinces must make sure that the actions of component cities and municipalities with regard to component barrios are within the bounds of the allotted powers and functions. Highly urbanized cities must be autonomous of the province according to criteria outlined in the Local Government Code. 2. For mutually beneficial goals, local government units may band together. Section 5. Each local government unit shall have the power to create its own sources of revenue and to levy taxes, subject to such limitations as may be provided by law.
Philippine history. So our topic, we as a group, is about economic, socio, and political and cultural issues in 1973 Philippine Constitution. So from that four issues, I will discuss to you the last issues, that the cultural issues in 1973 Philippine Constitution. So there are two issues in cultural constitution in 1973. So I will discuss to you that later. So let's proceed. So the first issues that I will discuss to you is about the expanding forces of New People's Army against the military. So when the old Marcos was elected in president, when the old Marcos was elected in president, there are so many laws that Marcos has been applied or pinatupad yan, pinatupad sa Pilipinas. So isa na nga doon is yung the martial law. That yun nga yung martial law nga is yun yung isa sa kinatatakutan na batas na mapatupad nung unang panahon. So yun. So Marcos was declared martial law in 1972. So because of martial law, sorry. So because of martial law, maraming tao yung hindi sumang-ayon doon dahil nga sa malupit na pamamaraan. Mga karahasan, madaming karahasan na nangyayari doon. So yung mga tao is gumawa sila ay may isang grupo, nagtatag sila ng grupo na which is the New People's Army, na yung layunin ng New People's Army ay labanan yung maruming pamamaraan ng mga militar sa pagpapatupad ng batas nila. So, ayun. So, the forces of the New People's Army grow stronger, especially in the countryside in the first year of the martial law. The National Demographic Front was established in the secessionist rank of the Moro National Liberation Front in the later the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. So yung New People's Army is sinuportahan ng mayayamang bansa. Sinuportahan ito ng mayayamang bansa. These groupings were supported by rich Muslim countries in the Middle East, and the Mindanao become a bloody field. So yon, sinuportahan nga yung grupo na to, which is yung New People's Army nung mga mayayamang Muslim sa Middle East. At yon, dun nagka-enkwentro ay mas lumala yung enkwentro na nangyayari sa martial law, dahil siyempre may kanya-kanyang layunin yung kada grupo. Kaya yon. So the second issue that I've know, the issue in Chico Dam project. So ito naman yung issue sa dam na pinapatayo noon. So in June 1973, Land Mayor, Interior and Engineering Company of Germany, a technical pre-feasibility study on the hydroelectric development on the Chico River Dam. This company proposed the construction of 4 dams. So yon, ito na nga, pinatayo nga dito yung yung Chico Dam sa Cordillera. So in Cordillera, the government's plan to build the Chico Dam is a project that will destroy the traditional lifestyle of the natives and their community. And because of that, the residents protest the extraordinary move, and because of the method that the government was doing. One time, all the women in Kalinga faced all the military forces with no clothes and half naked to prove that they're not scared along the Chico River. So, dahil dun sa pinapatayong dam is nagprotesta yung mga tao, ay mga kababaihan sa Kalinga. So dahil nga masisira nito yung pangkaraniwang buhay nila, yung pinagkukunan nilang pagkain, which is yung river. So nagprotesta yung mga babae, lahat ng babae sa Kalinga is hinarap yung mga militar na walang, believe me or not, wala silang damit pantaas para patunayan ng mga kababaihan na yon sa mga militar na hindi sila natatakot, hindi sila natatakot doon. Kaya nila nalalabanan nila, na papatigil nila yung construction ng dam na yon. So yon. The project was shelved in 1980s after public outrage in the wake of the murder of opposition leader Makliing Dulag is now considered a landmark case study concerning ancestral domain issues in the Philippines.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ms. Kalino Marinorji, BSE 1F, and my topic tackles about the economic issues of 1973 Constitution. In 1969, Ferdinand Marcos is elected to a second term as the President of the Republic. There are allegations of electoral fraud. Every campaign spending causes the economy to falter. The peso is devalued. Inflation soars. As the 70s begin, the nation grows increasingly frustrated with the government. Protest action and riots rocked the capital. The crisis in economy and politics became worsened. Evolution occurred. The value of Philippine peso became low. Many people lost their jobs and development of economy and industry stopped. On July to August 1972, a strong typhoon hit Philippines that made flood in central Luzon and damaged a lot of houses in the said place. The government was forced to import rice for almost 500,000 tons from other countries that causes the goods to increase the rate and result the students to protest. During the second year of rule in martial law, Marcos stated that the Philippines was declared to be a land reform area. In October 21, 1972, the emancipation of tenancy farmers of the Philippines. The economic accomplishment of Marcos during his presidency and martial rule were phenomenal until the economic crisis of 1983 brought the engine of accomplishment to a halt. The battle towards the end had many causes and cannot simply be characterized with simplistic conclusion. Later, the topic about the fall and collapses is discussed, for there was also good reasons why he lost the support of the people towards the closing years of his rule. Marcos's achievements were stellar on many fronts. He had remained simply a two-term president, he would have come out as one of the most effective leaders of the country in the post-war era. As president, he was able to execute a higher level of achievement in uplifting the nation's economic condition despite of various social political challenges, including that of the NPA rebellion and later the brewing rebellion in the South. An economic legacy is organized along four major lines: government reform, infrastructure investment, social and people-oriented reform, and finally, economic and industrial reform. At times, some of distinction is made about the period in which these reforms was undertaken. Many of them were made during the two presidential terms, but a substantial amount of them became possible during martial law, when all of the powers of government in relation to the execution and passage of law fell in his hands. Dahil sa pagmamaniobra ng mga Marcos, hindi nabigyan ng sapat na atensyon ang mga reformang panlipunan at pang-ekonomiya. Sa halip ay napagtuunan ng pansin ang mga panukalang palitan ang sistema ng gobyerno mula sa presidensyal tungo sa parlamentaryo. Ang napagtuunan ng pansin ay si Marcos.